James, welcome to Halloween Daily. Thanks so much for talking to us today.
Thank you so much, Matt, for having me.
Well, I watched The Home last night. I loved it. Job well done. Surprised me in all the right ways, and I really enjoyed it. I'm curious, could you tell us just a little bit about how this story originated for you? I know you're co-writer on this, and what was the most exciting aspect going into this project for you?
Oh, great question, man. So it started during COVID, Matt.
Okay.
My buddy Adam, who I co-wrote it with, he's my best friend, and we were in the same bubble. I guess our family, what they call pods. So like, he
Yep.
was the only family because his boys played with my daughter. They're both young, and so Adam and I are very neurotic people, and we both were in terror of COVID because we didn't know what the hell it was at the time. And we were sitting in our backyard discussing mortality quite a lot and film, so we're film fanatics. And then a lot of stuff started happening. I don't remember in New York, at the elder care facilities. A lot of people were dying there. There was some kind of mishandling of the early virus, and so the elder care facilities were in the kind of in the
Mhm.
media quite a lot. So we were talking about that simultaneously. Well, we also talked about that. We both had kind of strange experiences when we were young with family members at elder care facilities. So we were starting to think of it as a interesting setting for a horror film.
Mhm.
Lastly, what I think added the final nail on the coffin, is that the right saying? I don't even know. Was that my wife, I'm not a healthy guy. I eat a lot of Italian food and drink a lot of wine. She's like, it's time to get healthy during COVID. And I'm like, why? And she's like, well, you should if we're getting older. And, she's like, do yoga. And she forced me to kind of do yoga, which I tried to on YouTube. But I started doing yoga, and here's what the fascinating thing that happened. My YouTube feed, the algorithm started feeding me a lot of videos about longevity, supplements, oils, and I discovered haphazardly through yoga. I guess there was a movement, an obsession in America, maybe beyond, with this idea of longevity and extending life through supplements and exercise and eating. And some of it was probably very true and scientifically based. I found a lot of it to be what seemed to be disinformation, misinformation, charlatans
Mhm.
trying to sell things. But I was fascinated with the obsession. People seem to be very obsessed with potentially extending life to 120, 130, which seemed quite outlandish to me. Now I think it's even more out there with billionaires speaking about how AI is going to get us to live to 150. But I think all that coalesced into, you know, the home and this place where there's something nefarious going on, and longevity, fountain of youth, and that kind of stuff.
Excellent. And I got to say, one of my favorite things about your writing and your films in general is what you were speaking on now, that running real world commentary that is always embedded throughout. And most of my favorite filmmakers do that as well. Can you speak just a little bit on that and the importance of maintaining that in each of your projects?
No, absolutely. I love doing. I grew up on two of my favorite filmmakers are Carpenter and Romero,
Yeah,
and I think no one
same.
does better. Yeah, dude, exactly. It's just the masters of it.
Yeah,
That kind of smuggling socio-political commentary without preaching, right? Without like
right.
hitting it over the head. And I think I actually crossed a line in some of the Purge films, and I think I got a little preachy. So here I wanted to do it in a much more subtle way, and I had my thoughts on climate change. I thought, I wanted to kind of get that in there. And I thought what was happening to some of the characters in the home became somewhat of a metaphor for what previous generations have done to the planet
Yeah.
and what we're doing to the youth of the planet, what we're leaving the youth. I had a daughter at the time when we were writing, and what are we leaving the next generation with? So it became like a generational battle in the movie, as you could see, between Pete and the boomer generation, or Max and the boomer generation. So, yeah, but that layering, the socio-political commentary, it's important, I always feel. And I think horror and sci-fi are the best vessels for that.
Yeah.
I, I think they're great. I grew up reading a lot of sci-fi, from Larry Niven to Frank Herbert, and these guys are just the masters also of just, they put a mirror up to society. But since you're in sci-fi, it never feels preachy. It just says, oh, wow, I could see our society in here a little.
Mhm.
But it's interesting, it's a little distant. So it's not hitting you in the head in any way. It just lets you contemplate where you're living. And I think horror and sci-fi do that better than any other genres.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Um, Having created the Purge and been a part and watched that become what is literally just part of American lexicon now, and I think you hit on it a little bit now, but with working on the home, it's not attached to that pop culture aspect nearly as much. Did you find a little bit of freedom in this project that you might not with a Purge movie at this point?
Absolutely, dude. And that was part of the kind of, I think the
Hmm.
fun, we were getting to flex different muscles. I have
Yes.
a producer who's produced all my movies, Sebastian Lemercier. We were very excited. We love The Purge. It's fun. We might do another one, but we were like, let's do some true. We also look at The Purge as more almost sci-fi action dystopian with a little horror. Maybe the first one has more, with the home invasion with Ethan, but in a way it's grown more into action, I think. And
Yeah.
we were really excited to dive into psychological horror, which we both love. Great influence on me growing up, watching movies from the 70s, from Rosemary's Baby, The Sentinel, Let's Scare Jessica to Death. These movies really influenced me. And I often say I'm prone to nightmares. I have this thing called night terrors, I guess my people tell me. I scream at night often. So I think a lot of it has to do with who the hell knows what it has to do with, but a lot of it is that stuff I watched as a kid and still kind of haunts me to this day, but in a great way. I love that. I love the power of film and what it could do to our psyche and throw these images in our head. So it was so exciting to dive into psychological horror for the first time in my career because you're really, from lensing to production design, it's all different muscles. You're creating dread, you're building, you're unpeeling an onion. There's a mystery. The Purge really doesn't have mysteries in it. So I got to really work with my DP and figure out camera wise, how do we create dread instead of The Purge is kind of handheld and muscular, kind of running around.
Hmm.
Here it was much more framed and painterly in how we were framing things to create that sense of dread. Hopefully we succeeded. We were watching different, and even what inspired us was much different than what inspired The Purge. So it was really a fun journey for all of us because I took a lot of people from the Purge crew. So we were all
Yeah.
like, hey, we're getting to do something kind of different. That was really fun, man. Yeah.
And of course, we see everything through the lens of Halloween. And one of the things about the Purge movies that we love is all the great masks you've given us over the years. And I'm sure you're well aware, but Spirit Halloween, there's an entire section devoted to just
Oh,
costumes from that franchise. And you did work in a creepy mask or two into
we
the
did.
home, which I totally appreciated. Um, for our last few minutes, how does it feel for you to when like you see masks from these films that you created
Yeah.
out and around Halloween, sometimes worn by little kids trick or
Oh,
treating and stuff? What what
yes.
what goes through your mind when you see that?
Dude, it was one of the greatest days. I swear to God, this was the most like truly gratifying day. I was taking my daughter to her grandmother's house in the neighborhood over from us, and it's a great area for kids to walk around in. It looks like Haddonfield. It's just beautiful, like little town of Staten Island, and there's so many kids. Suddenly, I hear my wife's hysterical laughing. She's like, "Come in, come in," and she starts inviting kids into it was her mom's house, and she brings in four kids who were 10 years old and they all had masks from the Purge movies. And they had no idea that I was in there. And she's like, you could meet the guy who designed these masks. And it was such a fun thing. And we started then walking around the neighborhood. And it was the first year I think the masks kind of entered into society as a potential, costume. And I started seeing it was the Freak Bride, I think from Purge 3. That's the one that was really big that year. Maybe I think that was, or maybe it was Lady Liberty from Purge 2. No, that was Purge 3. Sorry, I'm mixing up my own mask. Anyway, oh, the God mask was Purge 2. That was a big one too. And it was the most gratifying thing, man. And now when I see it in the Halloween,
Mhm.
spirit store, it's wonderful. It's wonderful, man. It really is. I would say it's almost more grat. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays, and masks have always been a thing that freaked me out. So to see it all coming together on that great day it's wonderful. It's so cool.
Well, that's great to hear, and that was going to be my last thing. And you answered that you do celebrate. So what does Halloween itself mean to you, the holiday?
Oh, dude, I think it's a day of celebrating. I love horror so much and
Yeah.
to celebrate the macabre
Yes.
because it's such a communal, to me, horror movies are the most communal of films, right? It's a way for us
Yep.
to come together, to share our fears, but to do it together, to yell together, to scream, and to see a holiday now dedicated to that, to dive into that. I just think, to me, it's the most wonderful day of the year. It's become, what's weird is as a young man, I was so freaked out by the holiday because masks freaked me out because I can't see what a person's thinking. I can't see their
Right.
expression, which is why I started working with masks as I got older. But now to have a day, now I love it. So I've gone on this kind of like evolution of being terrified and now loving it more than anything. So to celebrate that and celebrate mask and horror, I think it's my favorite day of the year, my friend.
Well, you're definitely one of us in that
Yes,
department for
indeed,
sure,
dude.
man. Man, I appreciate it. Well, again, I love the film, and one day we'll have a longer conversation where we can talk
Absolutely,
about
Matt. We should
designing
do that.
each of those masks because there's so many good ones in those films and in this film as well. So,
Thank you.
well, that'll be
I'd
for
love
another
to do
day.
that.
I know you're super busy right now. Thank you again for your
Oh,
time. And instead of saying goodbye, I'm just going to wish you a very happy Halloween.
happy Halloween to you, Matt. Take care, brother.